The year was 2387, and the galaxy belonged to three great powers. For 800 years, they had ruled the stars with iron fists and sharp claws. No one dared to challenge them. No one even tried. Captain Ji-Wan stood on the bridge of his warship, watching the stars through the viewing screen. He was Vorthak, one of the warrior race that controlled the largest military force in known space. His people were tall, strong, and covered in thick gray skin that could stop most weapons. They had conquered over 2,000 worlds. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "we have received new intelligence reports from the outer sectors." Ji-Wan walked over to read the data. It was about a species they had never seen before. The report said they came from a yellow star system that the aliens called Sol 3. The beings called themselves humans. "What do we know about them?" Ji-Wan asked. "Not much, sir. They seem to have only one world. Their technology appears very basic. Our scouts say they barely have space travel. They are not a threat." Ji-Wan nodded and filed the report away. Another primitive species discovered. There were thousands of them scattered across the galaxy. Most never advanced beyond their home planets. Those that did were quickly brought under alien control or destroyed. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Admiral Myre studied the same intelligence data. She was Zilani, a member of the most technologically advanced species in known space. Her people were thin and tall, with large heads that held massive brains. They controlled most of the galaxy's advanced technology and scientific research. Mirai fed the human data into her probability computers. The machines worked for several minutes, processing millions of calculations. Finally, they gave their answer. "Threat level, 0, the computer announced. Probability of technological advancement, 0.003%. Recommendation, ignore completely." Mirai agreed with the assessment. These humans were clearly another dead-end species. They would probably destroy themselves within a few centuries, like so many others had done. The Zilani had more important things to worry about. On a trading station near the Galactic Center, Do-Hyun looked at the same human data with different eyes. He was Belgran, one of the merchant race that controlled most galactic trade and commerce. His people were short and wide, with multiple arms that made them excellent at handling complex tasks. Do-Hyun saw potential profit in these humans. Maybe they had resources that could be traded. Maybe they could be used as cheap labor. He prepared a proposal to establish contact and begin trade negotiations. "Request denied," came the response from his superiors within hours. "Investment risk too high. Species shows no signs of valuable resources or capabilities. Focus efforts on more profitable ventures." Do-Hyun put the proposal away with disappointment. The Belgran Trade Union was always careful with their investments. They only dealt with species that could make them money quickly. Back in Vorthak space, the intelligence reports about humans made their way up the military chain of command. General Young-ho read them with mild interest. As War Marshal of the Vorthak Empire, he had seen thousands of such reports over his long career. "Another primitive species," he told his staff. "Mark their territory on our maps and forget about them. We have real threats to deal with." The real threats he spoke of were the ongoing border disputes with the Zilani Confederation and the trade wars with the Belgran Union. The three great powers were always competing with each other, but they maintained a careful balance. None wanted to start a full galactic war that could destroy them all. On Zilani Prime, Supreme Analyst Su Yung ran additional calculations about galactic stability. Her job was to predict future threats and opportunities for her people. The humans. barely registered in her complex equations. Insignificant, she reported to the Zilani High Council. This species will likely be extinct within 500 years due to environmental destruction or warfare. They show all the classic signs of a self-destructing civilization. The Zilani had watched many species destroy themselves over the millennia. It was a common pattern among primitive peoples. They would develop weapons faster than wisdom, and eventually they would use those weapons on themselves. Meanwhile, in Belgrand space, Minister Changmin reviewed the economic reports from across the galaxy. Trade was good, profits were stable, and new opportunities were being explored on dozens of worlds. The humans were mentioned in a footnote as a potential future market, but nothing more. Keep monitoring their development, Changmin instructed his economic analysts. If they survive their primitive phase and develop interstellar trade capabilities, we may reconsider contact. Until then, they are not worth our attention. The three great powers had spoken. Humanity was insignificant. They posed no threat and offered no immediate benefit. The galaxy would continue as it always had, with the Vorthak providing military might, the Zilani advancing technology, and the Belgrand facilitating trade between countless worlds. None of them knew that in the Sol system, strange things were happening. Human scientists were making breakthrough discoveries that challenged known physics. Human engineers were building ships that used principles the aliens had never imagined. Human military leaders were studying alien tactics and developing countermeasures. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Neon stood in the command center of Earth's Space Defense Force. She had been reading the same intelligence reports, but from the other side. Human spies had infiltrated alien space years ago, learning about their technology, their politics, and their weaknesses. "How long before they notice us?" asked her second-in-command. "Not long," Neon replied. "Our deep space colonies are expanding rapidly. Eventually, we will encounter their patrols. When that happens, everything will change." She looked at the star maps showing human expansion into space. What the aliens saw as one primitive world was actually the center of a growing interstellar civilization. Humans had been building in secret for decades, staying hidden while they learned and prepared. The aliens thought they knew everything about the galaxy. They believed their intelligence networks could track any significant threat. They were confident in their technological and military superiority. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. Captain Jiwan continued his patrol duties, unaware that history was about to change. Admiral Mireille worked on her scientific projects, believing the future was predictable. Do-hyun managed his trade routes, thinking profit was the only thing that mattered. None of them suspected that somewhere in the outer darkness of space, human ships were moving. These vessels carried technologies that would shock the galaxy, and crews trained for a war that three great powers never saw coming. The galactic status quo had remained unchanged for 8 centuries. The three powers believed it would last for 8 centuries more. They controlled everything they could see, and they thought they could see everything that mattered. But they had never encountered humans before. They had never faced a species that could hide in plain sight, that could learn from watching, that could prepare for battles that had not yet begun. They had never met a people who refused to accept that bigger and older meant better. The first. Cracks in their perfect system were already forming. Soon, those cracks would become breaks. And through those breaks, humanity would emerge to change the galaxy forever. The age of 3 powers was ending. The age of 4 was about to begin. The aliens just did not know it yet. 6 months had passed since the intelligence reports about humans first crossed alien desks. The galaxy continued its normal rhythm of trade, politics, and border skirmishes. No one remembered the primitive species from the Sol system. Commander. Sun Wu was hunting pirates in the Outer Rim when everything changed. His small Vorthak fleet had been chasing a group of raiders for 3 days through empty space. The criminals were clever, jumping from system to system and always staying one step ahead. "Sir, we are picking up an unknown ship signature," his sensor officer reported. "It appears to be moving through the next system." Sun Wu studied the readings on his screen. The ship was large, much larger than any pirate vessel. It was also moving slowly, as if it was not trying to run from anything. "Could be a merchant vessel," his tactical officer suggested. "Maybe the pirates are planning to attack it." "Then we will get there first," Sun Wu decided. "Set course for intercept, maximum speed." His 3 warships jumped into the system and found something unexpected. The large vessel was indeed a merchant ship, but it was unlike anything in their databases. The design was strange, with smooth curves instead of the angular shapes most species preferred. It was painted white with blue markings that meant nothing to Vorthak eyes. "Hail them," Sun Wu ordered. The response came quickly. A viewing screen opened, showing a bipedal creature with pale skin and small eyes. It spoke in a language the translation computers needed several seconds to process. "This is Captain Hana of the human vessel New Soul. We are a peaceful colony ship traveling to establish a new settlement. How may we help you?" Sun Wu was surprised. This was one of those primitive humans from the intelligence reports. What was it doing so far from its home system? "I am Commander Sun Wu of the Vorthak Empire. You are in violation of galactic transit regulations. Prepare to be boarded for inspection." Captain Hana looked confused. "I am sorry, but we are not aware of any galactic transit regulations. We are traveling through empty space to reach our destination. We have not interfered with any other vessels or claimed any territory." "Ignorance of the law is not an excuse," Sun Wu replied firmly. "All ships in this sector must submit to Vorthak authority. Lower your shields and prepare for boarding." On the bridge of the New Soul, Captain Hana turned to her crew. She was a small woman with dark hair and calm eyes, but her voice carried clear authority. "Tactical assessment," she requested. 3 warships, Vorthak design," her tactical officer reported. "They outgun us individually, but their technology appears to be standard galactic military. Our systems show significant advantages in several areas." "Defensive capabilities?" "Our shields are holding easily against their targeting scanners. Their weapons appear to be plasma-based with limited guidance systems. Our point defense should handle them effectively." Hana nodded and turned back to the communication screen. "Commander Sun Wu, we appreciate your concern for galactic order. However, we cannot allow boarding of our vessel. We are carrying civilian colonists and sensitive equipment. Perhaps we could arrange a meeting in neutral space to discuss these regulations you mentioned." Sun Wu's expression darkened. "You will comply immediately or face the consequences. This is your final warning." "I am afraid that is not possible," Hana replied calmly. "New Soul out." The communication link closed. Sun Wu stared at the blank screen in shock. No one had ever refused a Vorthak boarding order. Not in over 300 years. "Sir," his weapons officer asked, "should we open fire?" "Target their engines," Sun Wu ordered. "Minimal force. We want them alive for questioning." The 3 Vorthak ships moved into attack formation and fired their plasma cannons. Bright red beams of energy streaked across space toward the human colony ship. They never reached their target. Points of light appeared around the New Soul as automated defense systems activated. Tiny objects shot out from hidden ports and intercepted the plasma beams, creating brilliant explosions in space. Not a single shot touched the human ship. "What was that?" Sunwoo demanded. "Unknown defensive technology," his sensor officer replied with confusion in his voice. "The projectiles appeared to be intelligent. They predicted the path of our weapons and moved to intercept." Impossible. No species has point defense that effective. On the new Sol, Captain Hana watched the alien ships with interest. "Well, they are definitely hostile. Bring weapons online and prepare for evasive maneuvers." "Weapons ready, Captain. Should we target their ships or disable them? Let us give them one more chance to withdraw peacefully." Hana reopened the communication channel. "Commander Sunwoo, you have fired upon a peaceful vessel without provocation. We ask you to withdraw immediately. We do not wish to harm you, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." Sunwoo was furious. "You dare threaten the Vorthak Empire? You will pay for your insolence. All ships, full assault!" The 3 warships opened fire with everything they had. Dozens of plasma beams and missile warheads streaked toward the human ship. This time there was too much incoming fire for point defense alone. The new Sol did something that made Sunwoo question his own eyes. The massive colony ship moved like a fighter craft, twisting and turning through space with impossible grace. Its engines produced no visible exhaust, but it accelerated faster than any ship its size should be able to move. Most of the alien weapons missed completely. Those that did connect struck shields that absorbed the energy without showing any signs of strain. "Return fire," Captain Hana ordered. "Disable their weapons and engines. Try not to harm their crews." The human ship fired back with weapons the Vorthak had never seen. Instead of energy beams or missiles, streams of small objects shot from the new Sol at incredible speed. When they struck the alien ships, they punched through armor like it was paper. Sunwoo's flagship shuddered as its main weapons were destroyed. "Damage report!" "Forward plasma cannons destroyed, sir. Engine output down to 60%. Their projectiles somehow passed through our shields without triggering them." "How is that possible?" "Unknown, sir. The projectiles appear to be using some form of phase technology." The battle lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, one Vorthak ship was disabled and drifting. Another had lost all its weapons. Sunwoo's flagship was barely functional. Captain Hana opened communication one final time. "Commander Sunwoo, your ships are disabled, but your crews are alive. We suggest you return to your territory and report this incident to your superiors. We hope this can be resolved peacefully." "This is not over, human," Sunwoo snarled. "The Vorthak Empire will not forget this insult." "We hope they will remember our desire for peace," Hana replied. "Safe travels, Commander." The human ship continued on its course, leaving the damaged Vorthak vessels behind. Sunwoo watched it disappear into the distance, his mind racing with questions that had no answers. How had a primitive species built such advanced technology? Where had they learned to fight so effectively? And most importantly, how many more ships like this did they have? It took 6 hours for rescue ships to arrive and tow Sunwoo's fleet back to Vorthak space. During that time, he composed his report with growing dread. The intelligence files had been completely wrong. These humans were not primitive. They were something else entirely. When his report reached Vorthak High Command, it created chaos. Emergency meetings were called. Intelligence services were questioned. Military advisors demanded immediate action. The age of galactic stability was ending. The humans had announced their presence with a single ship that had defeated 3 Vorthak warships without taking any damage. If one human ship could do this, what could 100 ships do? What could 1,000 ships do? The Vorthak Empire was about to find out, and they were not going to like the answer. The Vorthak High Command Chamber had never seen such chaos. Warriors who had conquered star systems were shouting at each other like children. Intelligence officers tried to explain how their reports had been so wrong. Military advisors demanded immediate action against the human threat. Admiral Taman stood silent in the center of the storm. He was old even by Vorthak standards, with scars covering his gray skin from dozens of battles. He had defeated rebel fleets, crushed pirate armadas, and brought 12 star systems under Vorthak control. Now his superiors wanted him to hunt down a single human ship. "This is madness," General Young-ho declared, slamming his massive fist on the table. "One primitive vessel defeats 3 of our warships, and you want to send our 4th battle fleet after them? We should send a single cruiser to finish what Sunwoo started." "With respect, sir," Admiral Taman spoke for the first time, "Commander Sunwoo is one of our best tactical officers. His ships were new and fully armed. If the humans defeated him so easily, we must assume they have capabilities we do not understand." "We think these humans are actually dangerous?" Young-ho asked with surprise. "I think we should treat them as if they are until we know otherwise," Taman replied. "Better to use too much force than too little." The debate continued for hours, but eventually Taman received his orders. The 4th battle fleet would locate the human homeworld and destroy it completely. 200 ships, including the flagship destroyer of worlds, would end this threat before it could grow. Taman accepted the mission with mixed feelings. Part of him was excited for a real challenge after years of routine patrols. Part of him worried that they were missing something important about these humans. 3 days later, the 4th battle fleet entered the outer edges of human space. Their orders were simple: find Earth and eliminate all human presence in the galaxy. What Taman found instead was evidence of a civilization far more advanced than anyone had suspected. The humans had colonies on dozens of worlds. Their ships traveled routes that connected systems across vast distances. Most disturbing of all, they seemed to know the Vorthak were coming. "Sir, we are detecting multiple human vessels in this system," his sensor officer reported. "They appear to be evacuating the colony." Taman studied the tactical display. "How many ships?" 12, sir. Mixed civilian and military vessels. The military ships are escorting the evacuation. Move to intercept. I want to capture at least one of their vessels for study." The Vorthak fleet approached the human ships with confidence. 12 vessels against 200 seemed like impossible odds. But as they drew closer, the human ships did something unexpected. Instead of running or surrendering, they attacked. The battle that followed shocked Taman to his core. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, as if controlled by a single mind. They used the asteroid field as cover, appearing and disappearing behind massive rocks while their weapons found targets with deadly accuracy. "Their ships are smaller than ours," his tactical officer reported, "but they are much faster, and their weapons appear to be guided by artificial intelligence." "Impossible," Taman replied. "True artificial intelligence is banned by galactic law. The risks are too great. Nevertheless, sir, their weapons are making decisions that no organic mind could process fast enough." The human ships fought like a swarm of angry insects. They struck at the Vorthak formation from multiple directions, targeting specific systems. Instead of trying to destroy ships completely, one by one, Vorthak vessels found their weapons disabled, their engines crippled, or their command centers destroyed. "Sir," his communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the human ships." "Put it through." The face that appeared on screen belonged to a human male with gray hair and steady eyes. "I am Admiral Kyung-soo of Earth Defense. Forces! You are attacking civilian evacuation vessels in neutral space. Withdraw immediately." "I am Admiral Taman of the Vorthak 4th Battle Fleet," Taman replied. "These are not neutral systems. You will surrender your ships and submit to Vorthak authority?" "I am afraid that is not going to happen," Kyung-soo said calmly. "You have entered space claimed by the Earth Federation. Your presence here is an act of war." "Earth Federation?" Taman was confused. "Our intelligence reports indicated only a single world." "Your intelligence is outdated," Kyung-soo replied. "We have been expanding into space for over a century. This is just one of our outer colonies." The communication ended, and the battle resumed. But now Taman fought with growing dread. If the humans had been building colonies for a century, how many systems did they control? How many ships did they have? The fight in the asteroid belt lasted 3 days. The human ships used tactics that the Vorthak had never encountered. They seemed to predict every move the alien fleet would make. Worse, they appeared to be learning from each engagement, adapting their strategies faster than the Vorthak could counter them. On the second day, Lieutenant Jae-hwan made a decision that would be remembered in human space forever. His fighter had been damaged in the battle, its weapons destroyed and engines failing. Instead of ejecting, he aimed his crippled ship at Admiral Taman's flagship. "This is Lieutenant Jae-hwan to all human forces," he transmitted. "I am beginning my final run. It has been an honor to serve with you all." Taman watched in horror as the small human fighter accelerated toward his massive battleship. Point defense systems fired desperately, but the fighter was too small and moving too fast. It struck the Destroyer of Worlds directly in the command section. The explosion tore through the flagship's bridge, killing Admiral Taman instantly. With their commander dead and their formation shattered, the surviving Vorthak ships fled back to their own territory. Of the 200 ships that had entered human space, only 23 returned. The 4th Battle Fleet, one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, had been destroyed by a handful of human vessels defending a single colony. The news of Taman's defeat spread through Vorthak space like wildfire. Warriors who had never known fear began to whisper about the humans. Intelligence officers scrambled to find new information about this mysterious species. Political leaders demanded answers that no one could provide. But the most significant reaction came from the other galactic powers. The Zilani Confederation and the Belgrade Trade Union had been monitoring the conflict with growing alarm. If humans could destroy a Vorthak battle fleet, what did that mean for galactic stability? Emergency sessions were called on alien homeworlds. Probability computers ran millions of calculations. Economic models predicted disaster. For the first time in 8 centuries, the 3 great powers were truly afraid. On Earth, Admiral Kyung-soo filed his battle report with mixed emotions. The victory at the asteroid belt had been decisive, but it was only the beginning. The aliens knew about humanity now, and they would not make the same mistakes again. "How long before they come back?" his aide asked. "Not long," Kyung-soo replied, looking at intelligence reports from across the galaxy. "And next time, they will bring everything they have." The human victory had saved one colony and proven that Earth could defend itself. But it had also announced to the galaxy that a new power had emerged. The 3 alien empires would not allow that power to grow. The real war was about to begin, and everyone knew it. The only question was whether humanity was ready for what was coming. In the depths of space, human fleets that had been hidden for decades began to move. Earth's secret was out, but so was its strength. The galaxy was about to learn that humans had been preparing for this moment for much longer than anyone suspected. The hunt had begun, but the hunters were about to become the hunted. The Emergency Council session was unlike anything seen in galactic history. For 800 years, the three great powers had competed, traded, and occasionally fought with each other, but they had never faced a common threat that required them to work together. War Marshal Young-Ho paced around the holographic display showing the destroyed 4th Battle Fleet. Each red marker represented a Vorthak ship that would never return home. The loss was staggering, not just in ships and crews, but in the reputation of Vorthak military might. 200 ships, he growled to the assembled alien leaders. The finest fleet in our navy, destroyed by a handful of primitive vessels. How is this possible? Supreme Analyst Su Young stood at her data console, running calculations that grew more disturbing with each result. The probability matrices have been completely recalculated, she announced. If humans continue developing, at their current rate, they could match Zilani technology within 50 years. 50 years? Minister Changmin of the Belgrand Trade Union looked shocked. That assumes they are still primitive. But if they can defeat Vorthak fleets, they may already be our technological equals. Su-Young nodded grimly. Worse than that, our analysis of the battle data shows they are using technologies we do not understand. Artificial intelligence that exceeds galactic safety limits, weapons that phase through energy shields, ships that move with impossible precision. The three leaders stared at each other across the council chamber. Each represented a different aspect of galactic power, but all understood what this meant. For the first time in centuries, their dominance was being challenged. What do we know about their actual capabilities? Young-Ho asked. Changmin activated a trade analysis display. Our economic scouts have been monitoring human space for the past month. They have colonies on at least 40 worlds. Their industrial output is growing exponentially. Most concerning, they appear to have resources that could destabilize our entire economic system. What kind of resources? Su-Young asked. Quantum crystals from their asteroid mining operations, rare elements that we thought were nearly extinct, and something our analysts cannot identify. Energy signatures that do not match any known power source. Young-Ho slammed his fist on the table. None of this matters if we act quickly. We destroyed the Cronin Empire when they became a threat. We eliminated the Hexar Confederation before they could challenge us. The humans will be no different. The Cronin and Hexar were single-species civilizations with known technology, Su-Young pointed out. The humans appear to be something entirely different. Their adaptation rate exceeds anything in our historical databases. Changmin pulled up economic projections. If we allow them to continue growing, they could control 20% of galactic trade within a century. Our profit margins would collapse. Entire sectors of the economy would shift to human control. The three leaders fell silent, each considering the implications. Finally, Young-Ho spoke the words that would change galactic history. Then we must work together. For the first time since the Great War, the three powers must unite against a common enemy. It took 3 days to negotiate the alliance. Vorthak military commanders wanted immediate action. Zilani scientists demanded time to study human technology. Belgrand economists insisted on plans to protect their trade routes. But eventually they reached an agreement. The combined first fleets of all three powers would launch a joint assault on human space. 500 ships, representing the most advanced technology and experienced crews in the galaxy, would eliminate the human threat once and for all. Admiral Wanbin would command the Vorthak forces. Admiral Yuna would lead the Zilani contingent. Admiral Dong-Hyun would coordinate Belgran support vessels. Together, they commanded the most powerful military force ever assembled. Remember, Young-Ho addressed the Joint Command Staff. This is not just about defeating the humans. It is about sending a message to every species in the galaxy. Challenge the established order and face extinction. Meanwhile, on Earth, Fleet Admiral Naeon received intelligence reports about the alien alliance from human spies embedded throughout galactic space. She stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, studying star charts that showed the approaching threat. "How long do we have?" asked her chief of staff. 6 weeks, maybe 7, Naeon replied. "The alien fleets are gathering at the Vorthak military base at Kepler Station. Once they finish coordinating their forces, they will move directly toward Sol System. Can our outer defenses stop them?" Naeon shook her head. "Not a chance. 500 ships is more than our outer colonies can handle. They will sweep through our territory like a storm." "Then what do? We implement Protocol Omega," Naeon said quietly. Protocol Omega was the most classified operation in human history. Only a handful of people knew it existed, and fewer still understood what it entailed. It had been developed over decades of secret planning, based on the assumption that humanity would eventually face overwhelming odds. "Are you certain, Admiral?" her aide asked. "Once we activate Protocol Omega, there will be no going back. The galaxy will never see us the same way again." "The galaxy already sees us as a threat to be eliminated," Naeon replied. "At least this way, we give ourselves a fighting chance." The orders went out through encrypted channels to hidden bases throughout human space. Ships that had been concealed for years began to power up their engines. Crews that had trained in secret prepared for their first real combat. Weapon systems that existed only in classified files were brought online. Back at Kepler Station, the alien commanders met to finalize their battle plans. Admiral Wanbin spread holographic star charts across the planning table. "The humans have established defensive positions throughout their territory," he explained. "Our intelligence suggests they have approximately 100 ships total. We will overwhelm them with superior numbers and firepower." Admiral Yuna studied the tactical data. "Their ships appear to be faster and more maneuverable than ours. We should not underestimate their defensive capabilities. Speed and maneuverability mean nothing against 500 ships," Admiral Dong-Hyun added. "Even if they fight to the last vessel, we will achieve victory through sheer numbers." The three admirals felt confident in their plan. 5-against-1 odds were impossible to overcome, no matter how advanced human technology might be. The combined fleet would strike hard and fast, eliminating human colonies one by one until Earth itself stood alone and defenseless. "What about civilian populations?" Yuna asked. "No survivors." Young-Ho had made this clear in his final orders. "The humans have proven they cannot be controlled or integrated into galactic society. Complete extermination is the only option. The alien alliance was preparing for genocide. They saw humanity not as a rival to be defeated, but as a cancer to be cut out. Every human world would be burned, every human ship would be destroyed, every trace of human civilization would be erased from the galaxy. They believed they had the power to accomplish this goal. 500 of the most advanced warships ever built, crewed by experienced warriors and commanded by the finest military minds in known space. What they did not know was that human intelligence had been watching them for weeks. Every ship movement, every strategic discussion, every tactical plan had been observed and analyzed by human spies using technology the aliens could not detect. Earth knew exactly what was coming. More importantly, Earth was ready. The alien alliance thought they were hunting prey that could not escape. They were about to discover that they had become the prey themselves. The hunters were walking into a trap that had been decades in the making. Protocol Omega was about to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of when faced with extinction. The aliens wanted to end human civilization. Instead, they were about to witness its true beginning. The combined alien First Fleet moved through space like a plague of metal death. 500 ships arranged in perfect formation, each one representing centuries of technological advancement and military experience. Admiral Wanbin stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars ahead where human colonies waited in ignorance of their approaching doom. Beginning assault on first target, Admiral Yuna reported from her Zelani command ship. New Kyoto colony detected. Minimal defensive. Presence. Understood, Wanbin replied. All ships, commence bombardment. Leave nothing standing. The attack on New Kyoto was devastating and swift. The human colony had only 12 defensive platforms and 3 patrol ships. Against 500 alien warships, resistance was impossible. Within 3 hours, the colony was reduced to burning wreckage floating in space. Casualties? Asked Admiral Donghyun from his Belgrand vessel. Total elimination, Wanbin reported with satisfaction. No human survivors detected. Moving to next. Target. The alien fleet transmitted recordings of the destruction across human communication networks. The message was clear. Surrender now, or face the same fate as New Kyoto. But instead of surrender, the broadcasts seemed to strengthen human resolve. Admiral Wanbin received defiant responses from every human colony they contacted. Some cursed. The aliens in languages the translators could not process. Others simply cut communications without responding at all. They are either very brave or very stupid, Admiral Yuna observed. Stupidity, Wanbin concluded. They cannot comprehend the force arrayed against them. The second target was New Daegu, a mining colony with stronger defenses. 24 defense platforms and 8 patrol ships guarded the system. The battle lasted 6 hours instead of 3, but the outcome was the same. Another human colony was erased from existence. After New Daegu, the alien fleet encountered something unexpected. Instead of defending their colonies individually, the humans began evacuating them before the aliens arrived. Entire populations disappeared into deep space, leaving behind empty worlds and automated defenses. Where are they going? Admiral Dong-yun wondered. Probably fleeing toward their homeworld, Wanbin replied. It does not matter. We will follow them to Earth and finish this. But the evacuation strategy had an unexpected effect. The automated defenses left behind were much more sophisticated than the aliens had anticipated. Unmanned weapon platforms used the same advanced technology that had destroyed the 4th Battle Fleet. Even without crews, they fought with deadly efficiency. The alien advance slowed as they encountered increasingly difficult resistance. Each system required more time to clear. Each battle cost ships and lives, even though the aliens always won in the end. Their defensive technology is improving, Admiral Yuna reported after the 5th colony fell. The automated systems are learning. From our previous attacks, Impossible, Wanbin replied. Machines cannot learn that quickly. Nevertheless, the data is clear. Each system we attack shows adaptations based on our previous tactics. Admiral Wanbin studied the tactical reports. With growing unease, the humans were doing something that violated every principle of military strategy. Instead of concentrating their forces for a decisive battle, they were trading space for time, learning from each defeat to make the next defense more effective. Sir, his communications officer interrupted, we are receiving a transmission from the Human Defense Force. Put it through. The face that appeared on screen belonged to a human male with steady eyes and graying hair. I am Admiral Hyunjin of Earth's Outer Defense Ring. You have committed acts of genocide against peaceful colonies. Withdraw from human space immediately or face the consequences. Wanbin laughed. You dare threaten us after witnessing our power. Your colonies burn behind us. Your people flee before us. What consequences could you possibly offer? You will. Find out soon enough, Hyunjin replied calmly. Earth's defense begins now. The transmission ended, and long-range sensors detected a massive energy signature ahead. The Jupiter orbital stations were powering up their weapons, and human ships were moving to intercept the alien fleet. How many ships? Wanbin asked his sensor operator. Approximately 100, sir. Mixed cruisers and destroyers. They appear to be taking position around the gas giant's moons. Only 100 ships? Admiral Yuna sounded surprised. Where are the rest of their forces? Probably destroyed in our advance, Admiral Donghyun suggested. This may be all they have left. The Battle of Jupiter began with the largest space engagement in human history. Admiral Hyunjin's fleet fought with desperate courage against impossible odds. They used the orbital stations as force multipliers, turning the giant planet's moons into weapon platforms. But courage alone could not overcome 5-to-1 odds. The human fleet was slowly pushed back toward the inner solar system, fighting. A careful withdrawal that cost the alien ships with every engagement. Their ships are faster than ours, Admiral Wanbin observed as another human vessel escaped destruction by diving into Jupiter's atmosphere. And their commanders are more skilled than we anticipated. The retreat is too organized, Admiral Yuna added. They are not running in panic. This is a planned tactical withdrawal. As the alien fleet approached Earth's solar system, they encountered the first of the planet's defensive rings. Massive weapon platforms hidden in the asteroid belt opened, fire with weapons that could crack moons. The humans had turned their entire star system into a fortress, but even Earth's impressive defenses could not stop 500 ships. The aliens pushed through each defensive line, destroying platforms and ships with overwhelming firepower. The human homeworld lay ahead, blue and beautiful and defenseless. Broadcast surrender terms, Wanbin ordered as his fleet approached Earth. The message went out across all human communication frequencies. People of Earth, you have witnessed the fate of your colonies. Your defensive fleets have been destroyed. Your orbital stations have been eliminated. Surrender now, and some of you will be allowed to live as servants to your betters. Resist, and your species will be extinct within the day. The response came from Earth's surface, transmitted directly from the Planetary Defense Headquarters. The voice belonged to a human female with quiet confidence and steel in her words. I am Fleet Admiral Neon of Earth Forces. I have a counteroffer for you. Leave now, and we will let you keep your lives. The three alien admirals stared at each other in disbelief. The humans were offering mercy to the very fleet that was about to destroy their homeworld. It was beyond arrogance. It was complete detachment from reality. "They have lost their minds," Admiral Dong Yun muttered. "Desperate species often become delusional when facing extinction," Admiral Yuna observed. Admiral Wanbin opened a direct communication channel to Earth. "Admiral Nayan, you are in no position to make offers. Your fleets are destroyed. Your defenses are broken. You have one world against 500 ships. Surrender now, or watch your planet burn." "Admiral Wanbin," Nayan replied with what sounded almost like amusement, "you have made one critical error in your calculations." "And what might that be?" "You assumed we only had one fleet." The communication ended, and suddenly the alien fleet's sensors began detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Ships were decloaking. Lots of ships, big ships, ships that had been hiding while the aliens fought their way through Earth's outer defenses. "Sir," the sensor operator's voice was barely a whisper, "I count 10 distinct fleet signatures. Each fleet appears to be larger than our combined force." Admiral Wanbin felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career. For the first time in his life, he was afraid. The hunters had become the hunted. The prey had revealed itself to be a predator, and the trap was closing with the sound of human engines powering up for war. The moment Admiral Wanbin's sensors detected the first human fleet, he knew that everything the aliens thought they knew about humanity was wrong. Dead wrong. "Fleet signature confirmed," his sensor operator reported with a trembling voice. "First, home fleet, approximately 200 ships decloaking near Mars." Before Wanbin could respond, another report came in. "Second fleet detected near Europa, 250 ships, then another. Third fleet emerging from the asteroid belt, 300 ships, and another. Fourth fleet rising from behind Luna, 200 ships." The reports kept coming as hidden human fleets revealed themselves throughout Earth's solar system. Each fleet was massive, modern, and equipped with technology that made the aliens' weapons look primitive. Admiral Yuna stared at her tactical display in horror. "This is impossible. Our intelligence indicated they had one world and minimal space presence." "Our intelligence was completely wrong," Admiral Wanbin replied grimly. "The question is, how wrong?" His answer came from Admiral Naon herself, broadcasting from Earth's surface on all frequencies. "Admirals Wanbin, Yuna, and Dong Yun, allow me to introduce you to the true extent of human civilization." As she spoke, more fleets continued to decloak. The 5th Stealth Fleet appeared from the outer planets. The 6th Assault Fleet emerged from behind Saturn's rings. The 7th Heavy Fleet rose from concealment near Jupiter. "For over a century," Naon continued, "humanity has been expanding into space, not just in this system, but throughout this entire sector of the galaxy. What you destroyed were our outer colonies, important to us, but not essential to our survival." The 8th Fast Attack Fleet decloaked near Venus. The 9th Support Fleet appeared from Earth's Lagrange points. The 10th Deep Space Fleet materialized from coordinates that should have been empty space. "You see," Naon explained, "we learned about you long before you learned about us. We have been watching, studying, and preparing for this moment for decades. Every ship in your fleet has been analyzed. Every weapon system has been studied. Every tactical doctrine has been war-gamed thousands of times." Admiral Wanbin felt his confidence crumbling as he realized the scope of his error. "How many ships do they have?" "Sir," his tactical officer replied with a voice full of dread. "I count over 2,000 human vessels in this system alone, and our long-range sensors are detecting additional fleet movements throughout the sector." The alien fleet that had seemed so overwhelming moments before was now outnumbered 4-1. Worse, the human ships were arranged in perfect tactical formations, as if they had been expecting this exact attack for years. "This was a trap," Admiral Yuna whispered. "They let us destroy their outer colonies to draw us here." "No," Admiral Wanbin corrected her, studying the tactical display. "This was not a trap. This was an invitation to a slaughter." Admiral Nyan's voice continued the broadcast. "Admiral Wanbin, your reputation precedes you. A capable military commander who has served his people with honor. I respect that, even though we are enemies." Wanbin opened a communication channel. "Admiral Nyan, I underestimated your species. But 500 ships can still inflict significant damage before we are destroyed. Many of your people will die." "That is true," Nyan acknowledged, "which is why I am prepared to offer you terms for surrender." "Surrender?" Admiral Donghyun's voice cracked with disbelief. "You want us to surrender?" "Think carefully," Nyan replied. "Your mission was to eliminate the human threat to galactic stability. But now you understand that we were never the primitives your intelligence suggested. We are a spacefaring civilization with technology that matches or exceeds your own." She paused to let that sink in. "Your real choice is not between victory and defeat. It is between a negotiated peace and mutual destruction." Admiral Wanbin studied his options. The human fleets had not fired yet, despite having overwhelming advantages. They were clearly hoping to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. "What terms are you offering?" he asked. "Complete withdrawal from human space, recognition of human sovereignty over our claimed territories, and a peace treaty between our governments. And if we refuse," Nyan's voice became colder, "then we will demonstrate why the galaxy should have left us alone." To emphasize her point, the human fleets began moving into attack formations. Wanbin watched in amazement as 2,000 ships maneuvered with perfect precision. No communications delays, no coordination errors. It was as if they were controlled by a single mind. "Sir," his sensor operator reported, "their ships are using some form of quantum communication network. All vessels are linked in real time." "That should be impossible," Admiral Yuna muttered. "Quantum communication requires massive infrastructure." "Unless," Admiral Donghyun said slowly, "they have been building that infrastructure for decades while we ignored them." The truth was becoming clear. Humanity had not been primitive when the aliens first detected them. They had been hiding their true capabilities, while secretly expanding throughout space. Every intelligence report had been carefully manipulated. Every encounter had been choreographed to make humans appear weak and backward. "We have been played," Wanbin admitted. "From the very beginning we have been dancing to their tune." "Admiral." Nyan seemed to sense his realization. "Admiral Wanbin, your species values honor in warfare. There is no honor in fighting a battle you cannot win. Your crews followed orders bravely, but those orders were based on false information." She was right, and Wanbin knew it. His warriors had been sent to fight what they thought was a primitive enemy. Instead, they faced a technologically advanced civilization that had been preparing for this war for generations. "Admiral Nyan," Wanbin said formally, "I request a conference to discuss terms." "Granted. You may bring 2 escorts to the neutral zone coordinates I am transmitting. We will meet in 1 hour." As the communication ended, Admiral Yuna turned to Wanbin with concern. Sir, this could be another trap. It could be, Wanbin agreed. But look at our situation. If they wanted us dead, we would already be floating wreckage. They have 2,000 ships to our 500, and their technology appears superior to ours. Admiral Dongyun studied the tactical display. The humans have been carefully avoiding civilian casualties throughout this war. Even when they destroyed our ships, they targeted weapons and engines instead of crew sections when possible. What are you suggesting? Yuna asked. I am suggesting that maybe these humans are not the monsters we thought they were. Maybe they actually want peace. Wanbin made his decision. Prepare my shuttle. We will hear what they have to say. As the alien commanders prepared to meet with their human counterparts, the fleets continued their careful dance around Earth. 2,000 human ships maintained perfect formation, ready to fight but hoping for peace. In the depths of space, hidden observers from other galactic powers watched the confrontation with growing alarm. If the humans could gather this many ships to defend their homeworld, how many more ships did they have scattered throughout the galaxy? The three great powers had tried to eliminate a threat before it could grow. Instead, they had revealed that the threat was already fully grown and had been hiding in plain sight for decades. The galaxy was about to change forever, and everyone knew it. The only question was whether that change would come through war or diplomacy. The answer would be decided in the next hour in a meeting between enemies who were just beginning to understand each other. The peace conference lasted exactly 37 minutes before Admiral Wanbin made a decision that would echo through galactic history. He rejected Admiral Neon's terms. I cannot surrender, Wanbin declared, standing in the neutral meeting chamber between the two fleets. My oath to the Vorthak Empire prevents it. My honor demands that I fight even against impossible odds. Admiral Neon nodded with what looked like genuine respect. I understand, Admiral. Honor is something my people value as well. If you must fight, then we will give you a battle worthy of your courage. Will you allow my ships to withdraw first and send a message to our families? Wanbin asked. Of course, Neon replied. Take all the time you need. 2 hours later, the largest space battle in galactic history began. Admiral Neon coordinated all 10 human fleets from her flagship, Soul's Pride, a massive vessel that served as both command ship and mobile fortress. Around her, 2,000 human ships moved with perfect precision, their quantum communication network allowing for coordination that the aliens had never imagined possible. The alien fleet, though outnumbered, fought with the desperate courage of warriors who knew they were making their last stand. Admiral Wanbin had arranged his 500 ships in a defensive sphere, with the most powerful vessels at the center and smaller ships forming protective screens around them. All fleets, begin standard engagement pattern Delta, Neon ordered. Target their weapon systems first. Give them a chance to surrender after each ship is disabled. The first home fleet, commanded by Admiral Wu Jin, specialized in close-quarters combat. His ships were built like mobile fortresses with thick armor and weapons designed for ship-to-ship battles. They moved toward the alien formation like an avalanche of steel. The second expeditionary fleet under Admiral Jisoo took a different approach. Her ships were smaller and faster, designed for stealth operations and precision strikes. They appeared and disappeared around the edges of the alien formation, striking at vulnerable targets before vanishing again. Admiral Seokjin's third heavy fleet brought overwhelming firepower to the battle. His ships carried weapons that could crack planets, now focused on the largest alien vessels. When the third fleet fired, space itself seemed to burn. But the aliens were not helpless victims. Admiral Wanbin proved to be as skilled as his reputation suggested, adapting quickly to human tactics despite being outnumbered. His ships fought in perfect coordination, covering each other's weaknesses and maximizing their firepower. Their command ship is coordinating defensive patterns, Admiral Wu Jin reported to Neon. Wanbin is a better tactician than our intelligence suggested. Then we will have to outthink him, Neon replied. All fleets, implement Pattern 7. Pattern 7 was a complex maneuver that required perfect timing between multiple fleets. The 4th and 5th fleets would create a distraction on one side of the alien formation, while the 6th and 7th fleets attacked from the opposite direction. Meanwhile, the 8th, 9th, and 10th fleets would strike from above and below. The maneuver worked perfectly. The alien fleet found itself under attack from 6 different directions simultaneously. Their defensive formations stretched beyond breaking point. "Sir," Admiral Wanbin's tactical officer reported, "we have lost 40% of our ships. The humans are targeting our weapons and engines, but they are avoiding our crew sections when possible." Wanbin noticed the same thing. Despite having overwhelming advantages, the humans seemed reluctant to cause unnecessary casualties. They were fighting to win, but not to slaughter. "Admiral Neon," Wanbin transmitted across the battlefield, "your tactics honor both our species. But I must ask, why are you holding back? You could end this battle in minutes if you targeted our crew sections." Neon's response came immediately. "Because this war was started by politicians, not soldiers. Your crews are following orders, just as mine are. There is no honor in killing warriors who are simply doing their duty." The battle continued for 6 days and nights. The alien fleet fought with incredible skill and courage, managing to destroy or disable over 300 human ships despite being vastly outnumbered. Admiral Wanbin proved himself to be one of the finest military commanders in galactic history. But skill and courage could not overcome the odds forever. By the 6th day, the alien fleet had been reduced to fewer than 50 ships, all of them damaged and running low on ammunition. "Sir," Admiral Yuna transmitted from her crippled flagship, "we cannot continue. My engines are dead, weapons are offline, and life support is failing." "My ship is in similar condition," Admiral Dongyun added. "We have fought with honor, but the battle is lost." Admiral Wanbin looked around his own bridge, seeing the dedicated crew members who had followed him into this impossible fight. They had done everything he could ask of them, and more. "Admiral Neon," he transmitted, "I request a ceasefire to discuss surrender terms." "Granted immediately," Neon replied. "Medical ships are already en route to assist your wounded." True. To her word, human hospital ships appeared within minutes, offering aid to alien crews without asking for surrender first. Wanbin watched in amazement as human medics worked to save alien lives, even while the battle was still technically ongoing. "Your people continue to surprise me," Wanbin told Neon when they met again in the neutral zone. "As yours surprise me," Neon replied. "Your fleet fought better than any enemy we have ever faced. If the odds had been even, the outcome might have been very different." Wanbin smiled for the first time in days. "Perhaps. But honor is not measured only in victory. Sometimes it is measured in how well one fights while losing." The surrender ceremony was conducted with full military honors. Admiral Wanbin formally transferred command of the surviving alien ships to Admiral Neon, who immediately began providing medical aid and repair assistance to the defeated fleet. "What happens to my crews?" Wanbin asked. "They will be treated as prisoners of war according to galactic conventions," Neon replied. When peace negotiations are complete, they will be returned to their homeworlds with full honors. And the war? The war is over, Neon said simply. Your governments sent their best fleet and their finest commander against us. You fought magnificently, but you lost. I believe even the most warlike politicians will understand what that means. News of the Battle of Sol spread across the galaxy within hours. The combined First Fleet of 3 galactic powers, commanded by one of the most respected military leaders in known space, had been defeated by a species that most governments had considered primitive just months before. The political implications were staggering. If humanity could destroy the best military force the galaxy could assemble, what did that mean for the balance of power? How many other primitive species were actually advanced civilizations in hiding? But perhaps the most significant impact was on the aliens themselves. Admiral Wanbin's respectful surrender and Neon's honorable treatment of defeated enemies created a new model for how wars could end. Not in slaughter and revenge, but in mutual respect between warriors who had tested each other's strength. You know, Wanbin told Neon as they watched human and alien crews working together to repair damaged ships, this may be the beginning of something better than what we had before. I hope so, Neon replied. The galaxy is large enough for all of us, if we are wise enough to share it. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had proven its strength through warfare. Now it would have to prove its wisdom through peace. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different. For 8 centuries, only 3 chairs had sat at the central table, representing the 3 great powers that ruled known space. Now there was a 4th chair, and in it sat Grand Admiral Neon of the Earth Federation. The change was more than symbolic. The entire balance of galactic power had shifted when humanity revealed its true strength. The Vorthak Empire, having lost 2 major fleets, could no longer project military power as they once did. The Zilani Confederation faced the reality that their technological superiority was no longer absolute. The Belgrand Trade Union found themselves competing with human merchants who offered better prices and faster delivery. The floor recognizes the representative from Earth, announced the council speaker, a position that rotated between the 4 powers. Neon rose from her chair with the quiet confidence that had carried her through the greatest space battle in history. Around the A table sat the leaders who had once planned humanity's extinction, now forced to accept humans as equals. Thank you, Neon began. I come before this council today not as a conqueror, but as a representative of a species that simply wants to take its place among the stars. War Marshal Young-Ho, his gray skin bearing new scars from the political battles that had followed his military defeat, spoke first. Admiral Neon, your people have proven their strength. The question now is, what do you intend to do with that strength? The same thing we have always done, Neon replied. Explore, learn, and build better lives for our people. But we will also do something new. We will protect those who cannot protect themselves. Supreme Analyst Su Yung leaned forward with interest. You are referring to developing species? I am referring to the new Galactic Protection Charter that Earth proposes to establish, Neon said, activating a holographic display. Too many civilizations have been destroyed or enslaved simply because they were discovered before they were ready. This must change. The charter outlined a revolutionary concept. Any species that achieved spaceflight would be granted a protection period of 100 years, during which they could develop without interference. Aggressive action against protected species would be considered an act of war against all four galactic powers. Minister Chang Min studied the economic implications. This would drastically reduce the pool of available labor and resources. Many of our industries depend on primitive species. Then, those industries will need to adapt, Neon replied firmly. The era of exploitation is ending. We propose a new model based on voluntary cooperation and mutual benefit. The debate that followed lasted for weeks. The three alien powers were reluctant to give up privileges they had enjoyed for centuries. But they also understood that the alternative might be war with humanity, and they had seen what human fleets could do. During the negotiations, former Admiral Wanbin served as a military liaison between the powers. His experience in the Battle of Sol had given him unique insights into human capabilities and intentions. They could have destroyed us all, he told the assembled alien leaders during a private session. Their technology is more advanced than we realized. Their fleets are larger than we suspected, and their coordination capabilities exceed anything we can match. But they chose mercy over vengeance. You think we should trust them? Young-Ho asked. I think we should trust their actions more than our fears, Wanbin replied. Admiral Neon kept her word about prisoner treatment. Human medical teams saved thousands of our wounded. Their repair ships helped fix our damaged vessels. These are not the actions of a species bent on conquest. Su-Yung had reached similar conclusions through her analytical models. The probability matrices support Admiral Wanbin's assessment. Human behavior patterns indicate genuine desire for peaceful coexistence, not domination. Gradually, the alien powers came to accept that humanity offered partnership rather than subjugation. The new Galactic Charter was signed with all four powers as equal participants. For the first time in galactic history, protection of developing species became a legal requirement rather than a moral choice. But the changes went beyond politics and law. The revelation of human capabilities had shaken confidence in alien intelligence services throughout the galaxy. If they could miss something as significant as human space civilization, what else might they be missing? We need to completely restructure our approach to contact with new species, Su-Yung admitted during a joint intelligence briefing. The human example shows that advanced civilizations may choose to remain hidden until they are ready to reveal themselves. This led to the establishment of the Joint Contact Protocol, a cooperative framework for first contact situations. Instead of individual powers making unilateral decisions about newly discovered species, all four governments would share information and coordinate their approaches. The economic changes were equally dramatic. Human industrial capacity and technological innovation created new markets and opportunities throughout the galaxy. But humans also insisted on fair trade practices that eliminated many forms of exploitation that alien businesses had previously taken for granted. Your people are transforming the galactic economy, Changmin told Neon during a trade conference. Profit margins are down, but overall economic activity has increased by 30%. Fair trade benefits everyone in the long run, Neon replied. When all participants prosper, markets grow larger and more stable. Perhaps the most significant change was in military doctrine. The human demonstration of coordinated fleet operations had revolutionized thinking about space warfare. Alien military academies began studying human tactics, while human officers shared knowledge with their former enemies. Your quantum communication networks have made traditional battle formations obsolete, Admiral Wanbin observed during a joint military exercise. We are having to relearn everything we thought we knew about fleet combat. Knowledge shared is knowledge multiplied, replied Admiral Wu Jin, who now commanded the first home fleet in peacetime exploration missions. If we ever face a common threat, we will all be stronger for having learned from each other. The joint exercises served another purpose beyond military training. They built trust between species that had been enemies just months before. Human and alien crews worked together, learned each other's languages, and began to see past the differences that had once seemed insurmountable. 1 year after the Battle of Seoul, Neon stood in her office aboard Earth's primary orbital station, looking out at the shipyards, where the 11th and 12th fleets were under construction. But these new fleets had a different purpose than their predecessors. The exploration vessels are ready for deployment, her aide reported. The 11th Fleet will investigate the Andromeda approach vector, while the 12th Fleet will explore the Galactic Rim. Good, Neon replied. It is time to see what else is out there. The galaxy had changed, but it was still changing. Humanity's emergence had created a new balance of power based on cooperation rather than domination. The four great powers now worked together to explore unknown regions, protect developing species, and build a more just galactic society. But Neon knew that challenges lay ahead. The galaxy was vast, and there were certainly other advanced civilizations yet to be discovered. Some might be peaceful, like humanity had tried to be. Others might be aggressive, like the three powers had once been. "Admiral," her communications officer called out, "we are receiving a transmission from the Deep Space Monitoring Station. They report contact with an unknown vessel in the Outer Rim." Neon smiled. "Another first contact situation. Signal the Galactic Council. Let us see how well our new protocols work." As she prepared to deal with yet another unknown species, Neon reflected on how much the galaxy had changed. The three alien powers had once believed that bigger and older automatically meant better. They had learned that assumption could be deadly wrong. Now, as the four great powers worked together to meet new challenges, they did so with the knowledge that any species they encountered might be more advanced than they appeared. The age of casual conquest was over. The age of careful diplomacy had begun. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through submission or luck, but through the same qualities that had driven them from caves to the cosmos: ingenuity, determination, and the refusal to surrender. When faced with impossible odds, the aliens had thought one human fleet was terrifying. They had been horrified to discover 10 more. But they had learned something even more important. Humanity's greatest strength was not in its fleets, but in its willingness to turn enemies into allies and create something better than what came before. The galaxy was larger now in ways that had nothing to do with distance or territory. It was larger because it included more voices, more perspectives, and more possibilities, and it was still growing, one first contact at a time. Earth was no longer hidden. Earth was no longer afraid. Earth was ready for whatever the galaxy might bring next, with friends at its side and the strength to protect what it had built. The new galactic order had begun, and it was more beautiful than anyone had dared to imagine.